This is the Comrade Show.
Hello, fellow Nigerians. Greetings to you all. My name is Comrade Show, and this is the Comrade Show. Today, on this program, I want to look at Nigeria, the cry of a nation. A lot is happening in Nigeria, but I want to look at the Nigerian situation today as it stands, with rising insecurity, very difficult economic circumstances embracing Nigerians today, to the extent that the poverty rate in the country has increased. Most worrisome is the level of insecurity. And yet we have a government elected with the primary aim of protecting lives and property. The result of what we have since we elected the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has been a decay in every aspect of Nigeria. But I'm going to start the story by looking at the present state of the United Kingdom, particularly as it has to do with the government of Boris Johnson. We all know that the pandemic, COVID-19, is plaguing the world. It's been for some years now. Last year, the United Kingdom introduced some stringent measures, part of which was that families or people who are not of the same household would not be allowed to meet. Last year, about this time, there was a very stringent law by the government of the United Kingdom restricting people from mixing together. But recently, a couple of weeks back, news broke that while the ordinary citizens and residents of the United Kingdom were observing the laws set by government, Boris Johnson government and his people called for a Christmas Day party. And this has surfaced is a matter that has been plaguing the government of Boris Johnson. People are already speculating that this might bring the government down. The government is denying, the government is making different excuses, different claims, and all of that. But the citizens and the people of the United Kingdom, they are still digging. They have kept on digging. And there is nothing government can do about it, because there is space for freedom of such expression. I'm going to give you examples of it. The former Speaker of the Parliament of the United Kingdom, John Bercow, had this to say about Boris Johnson. All of this is leading somewhere. Remember, the topic of today's discourse is Nigeria, the cry of a nation. But we are taking it from what is presently happening in the United Kingdom. And I will tell you why and how. Let's take a listen to John Bercow.
But this is how damaging it is, isn't it? If those principles are not being followed, then we have a problem. In years gone by, people would have resigned.
Yes. Oh, it inflicts reputational carnage on everybody involved in politics and on the House of Commons in particular. I think the significant difference between the John Major era and now is this. Yes, there was all sorts of wrongdoing during the latter stages of John Major's premiership, but nobody ever thought that John Major was a person of anything but unimpeachable integrity and straight dealing. Now, the person who is in charge of the ship is regarded as a serial dissembler, as an habitual liar, as somebody who has made his career through ducking and dodging and diving and dissembling and deceiving people. That's the difference, and that is why it is so incredibly serious and enormously damaging. I'm sorry to say it, but I've known 12 prime ministers in my lifetime, and by a country mile, Boris Johnson is the worst. His natural instinct is not to be open, not to be transparent, not to be accountable, but narcissistically to think, what suits me? How can I extricate myself from this awkward situation? By what means can I arrogate blame somewhere else? This is way below the standard that the British public are entitled to expect. And when people say, well, isn't it important that we focus on the big issues rather than on wallpaper or the cost of a flat? I suppose the answer to that is this. If there isn't a basic level of trust in the most senior minister in the government, it's very difficult to operate a democratic polity at all. That's the problem. This guy stinks in the nostrils of decent people.
This guy stinks in the nostril of decent people. That was a very hard description by John Bercow, the former Speaker of Parliament. You know the difference? The difference is that nobody's going to chase him down, nobody's going to kill him because he's been critical of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression. As a matter of fact, as we speak, the citizens of the United Kingdom, citizens of Scotland, are calling for the Scottish government, the Scottish police, to investigate, the 2020 Christmas Day party as alleged by the Prime Minister and, of course, friends of the Prime Minister and some people in government. To the extent that this surfaced just yesterday, I think. Let's take a listen.
Ma'am, I must protest. Last week, senior officers who work in this building issued a statement declaring they would not be investigating the unlawful Christmas party held in Downing Street last year. The statement claimed a criminal inquiry is not possible because there is, quote, an absence of evidence. Correct me if I'm wrong here, ma'am, but the whole purpose of a police inquiry is to gather evidence. But because your officers are unwilling to get off their backsides and find it, my team are bringing that evidence direct to Scotland Yard. First, though, for the benefit of the Metropolitan Police, let's remind ourselves what the rules were in December 2020. The law stated no person may participate in a gathering in the Tier 3 area which consists of 2 or more people and takes place in any indoor space. Government guidance was similarly clear. You must not have a work, Christmas lunch or party where that is primarily social activity. The day before the party, Scotland Yard shut down a wedding where 40 people were in attendance. The officers working in this building released a statement saying, quote, holding large gatherings could be the difference between life and death for someone else. London is in Tier 3. You must not mix inside with anyone who is not in your household or support bubble. Indeed, we also know the Met are currently prosecuting people for allegedly holding a party in Ilford on December the 18th, 2020, the same night that Number 10 staff and their guests knocked back wine and played party games until 2 a.m. Nobody denies an event took place at 10 Downing Street. The issue is a simple one. Was it, as Number 10 claims, a work meeting, or was it a party? Let's look at the evidence. It's now been established that invitations were sent out by the press team 3 weeks before the event and that invitees included people who don't work in Downing Street. The invitation said food and wine would be served and there would be an exchange of gifts. Some people wore Christmas jumpers to the event, while others brought secret Santa presents. According to one person who was there, you might call them a witness, quote, everyone was packed shoulder to shoulder. If it looks like a party, sounds like a party, stinks of booze and goes on till 2 a.m, it's an effing party. Now, I didn't float up the lagoon in a bubble, and neither did the British public. That is no work meeting. And of course, even Downing Street staff called the event a party. We know this because 4 days later, they held a mock press conference, footage of which has now been leaked, where they explicitly described it as a party, except that it would be controversial because it was held during lockdown, and discussed ways to present it to the public as a business meeting. Of course.
Well, the reason why I'm playing this footage is because I want us to have a feel of a government that works, a society that works. Contrary to what the standard is, Nigeria is on a very different pedestal. We have a National Assembly that are supposed to speak on behalf of the people, to defend the people, to, of course, hold government accountable at all times. But this same National Assembly, they connive with the present government of Buhari to put Nigeria very much under. As we speak, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is on the very edge. As a matter of fact, somebody, a very notable person, a broadcaster, described him yesterday as having used 8 of his 9 lives, which means that this news that broke may eventually cost him his premiership. And that is how bad it is, to the extent that he's even losing the support of his own party men, his own fellow conservatives, to the extent that when he presented a bill to be passed recently, just a couple of days back, on part of the measures that the government wants to employ, towards curbing the issues of Omicron virus. Of course, if it was left to his party alone, he would have lost that challenge, if not for the support of the Labour Party. We practically see government working for the interests of the people. Now, on the reverse side, we come to Nigeria. What we see is we are parliamentarians who you can't even spot the difference between the executive and the legislative arm of government, because their fusion and connivance is nothing but of self-interest. President Muhammadu Buhari is out of Nigeria as I speak right now. He's in Turkey, attending a program with his family in Turkey. I think they call it Turkey African Summit. For some of us, we do not see what relevance this summit bear, on the progress of Nigeria and the economy of Nigeria. The president of Nigeria today, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, whom, to be very honest, must not take all the blame, but the entire cabinet and those working with the cabinet, they have set Nigeria back by, as somebody described some weeks ago, by more than 20 years. The man is having his birthday, 79 years old, as claimed officially. And all you see is everybody clumsing around. As a matter of fact, a Punch newspaper report stated this morning, and this is it, I'll show it right there. Nigerians are proud of you. Bajabi Amila, that's the head of the second arm of, one of the head of one of the units of the second arm of government, that's the legislative arm of government, House of Reps, saying Nigerians are proud of Mr. Buhari or President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, I probably think some Nigerians are proud, but this does not represent me and very many Nigerians that may be listening to this today. And I'll tell you why it doesn't. Official reports today from Nigerian press states, and I put it out there, still from Punch, said 3,071, IPOP, Boko Haram members, 985 security agents in 12 months, 3 3,000 IPOB Boko Haram member security agents killed in 12 months. Now, what is alarming is this. It's not the number of Boko Haram insurgents killed, okay? It is the number of security men, 985 killed under this government. 985. Official report states statistically, okay, this one is a foreign statistics. I did not screenshot that over 30,000 Nigerians have died between 2011 and 2021. We're not talking of security men now. We're not talking. Over 30,000 Nigerians have died. Now this is alarming. They did not die because they had a vehicle accident or they were ill. They died because some people, in the name of being terrorists, they said we shouldn't call them terrorists, we should call them insurgents. Okay? Boko Haram and their likes came out with their guns, ambushed people, killed them, attacked villages, killed people, did all sort of things. And yet, as we speak, there has been nobody convicted under this government to say this person is a terrorist. As a matter of fact, some people, they have announced the court, you know. Today, they have released many of them. They call them repentant terrorists. They've released them back to society, and yet the level of insecurity is not abating. And I'll show you a footage. What has become the story of the ordinary Nigerian. Let's take a listen and just watch this pathetic story.
I saw horror. Wallahi tallahi idan abu yana kama da yawm al-qiyamah. Allah ina gana gan shi when I was in captivity. I saw that. I saw horror. I still have nightmares, bad nightmares da sai an rike ni har yau har gobe. Akan horrors din da na gani. Akan horrors din da na gani. That's why I left Nigeria. That's why I'm here. But wallahi tallahi, if you have not been through what we've been through, a lot of us that have been in captivity and been raped multiple times by terrorists, you would not know. You would not know the pain. You would not know the agony. Nobody stood. Nobody believed me. Nobody said anything. Nobody helped me. No one. No one. And that's what's happening right now to our children. That's what's happening right now to our children. They're being killed. Nobody's believing them. Nobody's saying anything. I'm angry. Nobody's accepting any refugee from northern Nigeria. Nobody. I was raped. I was raped. I was raped by terrorists. I was raped. I was beaten. I still have marks on my arm. I know what's going on. I know the pain. I know the pain.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah.
Nobody helped me. Nobody stood by me. Nobody. Nobody. The reason why we have elections, the reason why we empower people, the reason why we have leaders, primarily, is to protect lives and property. But today, the cry is that there's nobody helping anybody. But what we see is that the people we have empowered, given the authority to protect us, you know, with our resources, what they are doing is that they are helping themselves, stealing our resources, ensuring that our collective patrimony is theirs only, ensuring that Nigeria does not succeed. This is just an isolated case. Okay, the one I just played just now, this is the same story everywhere. Everywhere, the same story. There's so many other millions, tens of thousands, okay, unable to come out and express themselves. Our women are being raped. Our men are being killed. Properties are being destroyed. Lives are being destroyed. As a matter of fact, certain parts of the country today, is now being governed by terrorists. I was reading, a few days ago, UK travel advice to Nigeria. UK travel advice. As a matter of fact, the British populace are advised, strongly advised, not to travel to any part of the northern Nigeria. As a matter of fact, they are advised not to travel to Nigeria at all if they can avoid it. But if they must, there is no part of northern Nigeria they should go to. Because of what? Because of terrorism, because of insurgency. We cannot hide from this. Nigeria is bleeding. Nigeria is dying. Nigeria is crumbling before our eyes. And yet, we have people who have elected leaders. And yet, we have people who are supposed to call these leaders to account, to say, you are not doing this. We have people who are supposed to say, resign. You cannot continue in the office because you cannot provide leadership. And yet, what these people do is to rob these failed leaders in their back, is to pat them, is to continue to pretend that everything is all right. And yet, this country is crumbling. I must now come to a pathetic story. Part of the Nigerian story suffered by the average man. A few years ago, when President Goodluck Jonathan was in office, and Prophet TB Joshua was still alive, he had a building built, some story building and all of that. The building collapsed. People died. The next day, the president of Nigeria paid a courtesy visit on TB Joshua. There was no commission of inquiry. Nigerians died. Nobody questioned anything. Recently, 21-story building, built by somebody, I can't remember his name now, okay, with reports coming out of how, substandard materials were discovered to have been used and all of that. In the early stages, the man was arrested and released later again because of the corruption in the system and all of that. And he put up that building. That building collapsed, killed a number of people. Some of them, to this moment, their bodies have not been recovered and all of that. As we speak, there is no commission of inquiry. Nobody is going in for it. No government official is going in for it. It is business as usual. Nigeria is moving on. I must now present this story. A very sad one. Everybody has talked about it. It's part of the Nigerian story. Part of the Nigerian story. A young lad, 12 years old, killed by his colleagues in secondary school. Killed. For whatever reason, we do not yet know. It is not yet very clear. But what is clear is that, as alleged, as stated, that this young lad was dragged down from his hostel bed, booted, beaten, injured, given something to drink, and eventually, after some days, the boy died. As we speak, we are not seeing anything by way of government action to ensure that things like this don't repeat themselves as far as Nigeria is concerned. The system is broken. System is failed. This is a father of a child who died speaking. Let's take a listen.
To be taking care of him at home. So the doctor came and took sample. He came with the result and said he was having malaria. But then his body was very hot. Then they started treating him malaria. They gave him first, because he has not been eating, they gave him a drip that will let him get appetite. That one, they don't mix that one at all. Just plain something. That's one. Then after, they now give him the fever drip. Then they still give him that other one to sustain so that he will not be hungry. That was
At that point, we didn't know that it was beating.
Even at that point, we never knew that he was beating, but he has not confessed. We never knew that he was even giving something to drink, but he has not confessed. It was on Monday, between the hours of 11 and 12. That was when he started confessing. He told us that he didn't play ball. he didn't go to any field. That he was in his room with his mates, sleeping on his bed in the evening, but he didn't give us the time. But he said it was in the night. These boys walked into that hostel, the junior students hostel.
It's the same hostel, just their room.
Okay,
yes,
it's the same hostel, eh?
Yes,
it's just their room, separate room.
Yes.
Okay, okay. They walked into their room, they put off the lights. He was lying on his bed. They started beating him with belt. They beat him. Then he fell from his bed. They started mashing with a leg. So that all these places that are paining him is as a result of those smash bruises. He said nobody, he did not play ball with anybody. Then at the end, they gave him something to drink. He did not know what they gave to him to drink. That was the confession of the boy.
Was he able to identify the boys that did this?
Yes, he said they were 5. He mentioned 3. He mentioned Benjamin Favor. He mentioned Aslem Temile.
Answer. What's the name?
Aslem Temile.
Okay.
Benjamin Favor. Then Kasamu Michael. Kasamu Michael.
Yes.
He mentioned those 3. So, but because the place was dark, the other ones, he was hearing their voice when they were beating him, but he can't remember their names. So, but they were 5. Then, according to him, they said, they tell all the rest people, maybe whether they send them out or they gather them in one place, that we did not act. He said, if we not talk, we'll kill all of you. If they ask you, tell even the school people, say you were playing ball, say you fall. They threaten them. So the children said, we will not talk, we will not talk. So up till this time, it's because of that threat that made him not to say this thing until that Monday. I've asked the mother to bring one of his pictures, but when he was in primary school, he always thought of, I want to be pilot. So when the school was doing some activities, they will ask them to wear, if you want to be doctor, you wear doctor uniform. Career day. So he wear pilot uniform. So I've asked them to bring. It's okay. Okay. Sorry, my brother. I've asked my wife to bring that picture. I think there's a last bit. I will do a cake. I'll put the picture. And I will do his birthday. The mom could not sleep. So they gave her drugs. So she's sleeping now. That's why she's not here with us. She's in the room. She's sleeping. Both of us BPs were very high. So we're on drugs.
Nigeria, the crying nation. Different colors of agony, different colors of tragedy, in the country. And the only reason why this is because there is no proper leadership. Not at the center, not at the state level, not at the local government level. Not just those in government, even those of us who are not in government, we are all culpable. We have all come together, connived to build a society that will crumble us, a society that will lead us to early graves, a society that has led tens of thousands to early graves, needless death. As a matter of fact, it is easier to die in Nigeria than to have a basic amenity. It is easier to die. You are closer to death in Nigeria than to have a basic amenity. And this is the truth. This is the truth. No matter how highly pleased you are, this is the situation. The story is not different. The story is prevalent. Now, the problem of Nigeria is a problem caused by man, caused by Nigerians. Whether you are a leader or you are a follower, it's a problem that we caused ourselves. A problem that we caused because we deliberately blind ourselves to the truth. and empower those who are to further destroy us. And that's what we've been doing. The beautiful ones in the country who are supposed to provide proper leadership, who are supposed to provide proper direction, who are supposed to provide protection for the state, those ones, we don't get to even elect them. This brings me to one point. Next year is 2022, and next year is a year that a lot is going to be decided as to what happens in 2023. 2023 in Nigeria is a big year. It's a year where we're going to be electing the president of Nigeria and all of that. I have not seen people on the feed wanting to contest election, but one person has been very loud, okay, as one of those that we are expecting to flag a flag to say they want to be candidates of major political parties, as it were. This one person is one person that belongs to this same block of people that have continually subjugated Nigerians. This one person has not. He is a pillar in the present, what's it called, a party that is governing Nigeria right now. He's a pillar. He's one of the most relevant persons. He has never said a word against any policy of this present government that we see as draconian, that we see as limiting Nigerians, that we see as killing Nigerians. He has never said anything wrong. He has never said anything to say, man, this government is not doing this right, it's not doing that right. As a matter of fact, he is an accomplice, as far as many of us are concerned, with all that this government we have today is doing. And yet, this man is forcing his way through to become president of Nigeria. Now, the onus now lie on us to decide whether truly this man is fit to be president, given all the situations we are in right now, and given his own role presently. I saw a caption today, and it read thus: "I won't reject calls to contest," says Tinubu. I won't reject calls to contest. I can tell you, from what we know, from what we can see, that the clouds, are gathering. Everything is working jolly for him. The Northerners, the Westerners, and many people across the country, they are already gathering, momentum, speaking to the possible presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I must establish something here. I don't have anything personal against Ahmed Tinubu, but I must say, without fear of intimidation, that Bola Tinubu is not fit to be president of Nigeria. Apart from Bola Tinubu being part of the liability we have right now as a government, apart from the fact that Bola Tinubu, brought this government on us, this government that many Nigerians cannot speak good of. It is Christmas around the corner. People can't even afford the most basic of things to have a celebration, because we are under a government that has perpetually kept us where we know what to be. And I'll tell you the truth. If Tinubu becomes president today, it is a continuation of what we have today. And what we have is high level of insecurity, insurgency everywhere, high cost of living, death by the day, by various colors, kidnappings like has never been known before, setting records, as it were, devaluation of the naira, loans upon loans, to the extent that this government that met, about $11 trillion as a debt we owe in 2015, that debt profile has skyrocketed right now to nearly $40 trillion. To the extent that those of you who are not in government, you are owing as much as $70,000. The unborn child is owing $70,000 because of the debts accrued by this government. And yet, we do not see anything on the ground that these debts borrowed from China, from everywhere, was used for. We don't see anything. We don't. There is nothing. I tell you the truth. Bola Tinubu is not the man coming to salvage the situation. In all of this, we have agitations in Biafra land. We have agitations in Yoruba land. We have agitations everywhere. The nation is crying. The nation is bleeding. Bola Tinubu is not the answer. Nigerians must look at what is affecting Nigeria today. They said a common problem called for a common concern. There's a common problem in this country. And that problem is a problem of death. A problem of death. Problem of poverty. Problem of insecurity. Problem of no concern, no care by anybody elected leader. And therefore, it's important, it's imperative, it's necessary that we now look inwards and ask ourselves the true questions. Even those clamoring for Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, they are not doing so because they are interested in a better Nigeria. They are doing so because each of them want to plug themselves somewhere where they can individually benefit from a possible presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Not for the interest of Nigerians. Even the Bola Ahmed Tinubu is coming, fighting to become president, saying that he will not reject calls. Who is calling you? You are calling yourself. We know. The man is not coming to salvage Nigeria. All the interests that they have is to make this country dry. And that is what has been. That is what is. But we, the people of Nigeria, we have an opportunity to say no to this. We have a very big opportunity right now to set a different tone. I don't know who PDP is going to be, bringing. But I think that we can open our eyes to begin to look at the field. There are people, I don't know who the next president would be, but I know those who shouldn't be. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the leader of those that shouldn't be president of Nigeria in 2023. Nigerians, Nigeria is bleeding. Nigeria is a crying nation. And we now have a role to play. Not to stand aloof, but a role to play to ensure that we determine who becomes the next president. Certainly not Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And finally, just like I started with what is happening currently in the UK, we cannot afford to be quiet. We must all speak up. We must all speak to defend what is left of Nigeria. We must speak truth to power to defend ourselves. We must speak truth to power to guarantee that the future of the much younger generation and the yet unborn will be a better future. That sacrifice which we must make. If we don't make it, I tell you, we're currently working towards exterminating what is left of Nigeria. And that we must not allow to happen. To that extent, we must speak up. The same way the British society is speaking up. As individuals, they are speaking. As media houses, they are speaking. And I tell you, it may take a little while. The real truth will come out. Like I said, and somebody, actually said and alluded to, Boris Johnson may have used 8 of his 9 lives. For the sake of Nigeria, we can push to the point that we will unveil that the present government of President Muhammadu Buhari have used all of their 9 lives. And that will impart on those who have connived with this government and who are willing, are working hard to want to take over from this government. We cannot do the same thing the same way and expect different results. It is time for Nigeria to change from a crying nation to a nation that will at least experience a day of happiness because we have gotten it right. Let's decide now. Bye for now.
Make Comrade Show way. Comrade Lante